WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye.
Hold up, y'all. Go ahead. Oh, I like that. Come in on that. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Do it, y'all. Yeah. Yeah. Now put some bottom on it. Oh, yeah. Stay funky now.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get them started.
Let's put some mix on.
Hey. I see you there, sister.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego diddling. We do so because the chains of oppression on our people's minds are deep and difficult to remove.
Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host, third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs, here to get them started. Yes, indeed, here to get your eye open. There's a lot been going on. Wait a minute. You know what? Let me get my disclaimer out the way. Do that now. Okay. Oops, wait a minute. Come on, disclaimer. What the heck? All right, you straight. Why is there no disclaimer for? Okay. Alright, what's going on here? Sheesh, I'm gonna do it properly. Alright. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, I know what it is. Damn thing acting up from here. Okay. There we go.
The views and opinions expressed on the Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
All right. WHGE 95.3 FM. Got the disclaimer out the way. All right. Let me see what we got going on here. Okay. All righty. That's not what we want to do. Suck it. All right. Close that one up. Excuse me, y'all. Having a little technical difficulties. There you go. Now we go. Okay. All right. Let's get them going. Sorry about that. Gonna start off with a comment here from Brother Hameen on what goes on right here. All right. Let's talk about the first state. Delaware prides itself on being the first state for ratifying the Constitution before any other state. But, there's a big but here. It was among the last two states to ratify the 13th Amendment outlawing slavery. waiting until February 1901. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation did not apply to slaves in Delaware because it was a border state between the North and South. Hence, Delaware kept on enslaving after Juneteenth. Okay, Delaware was one of those states, it was a slave state, but Delaware didn't succeed from the Union. And the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to those states that succeeded from the Union. So Delaware got to keep its slaves throughout the Civil War. Now, Delaware had 3 whipping posts, one in each county, all right, where enslaved people were whipped as punishment for crimes. Kent County, located at the east side of the old State House on the Dover Green, and moved it to the Morris Correctional Facility in the 1930s. Newcastle County, located at the Newcastle County Jail, then moved to the Newcastle County Workhouse. Okay, there was also a whipping post in Rodney Square. Sussex County, located in Georgetown at the jail. Does the Delaware state curriculum include Black Anthony Swart, who was the first enslaved African in Delaware? Does the state curriculum include the 400 Africans buried in unmarked graves? Does the curriculum include Caesar Rodney as a slaveholder? Of course, you know, in Rodney Square, they took down Caesar Rodney's statue. Lastly, I also wonder why Delaware and other states don't do as Texas has done, by putting up a slavery memorial that will remind all of its people of our Ma'afa, of our Holocaust. And it's from Brother Hamid. All right, let's keep it moving. And thanks, Sister Sherry, for this. You know, I always end my show with GAS, Global African Supremacy. And the reason that I do that is because I understand our history, and what our history tells us that when the African ruled the world, because Africa was once a world power, the world was a much better place because the African understood balance. Yes, Africa was once a world power, home to some of the most influential civilizations and empires in history. Ancient Egypt, one of the earliest, one of the earliest and most advanced societies thrived along the Nile River, known for its monumental architecture, like the pyramids and temples. It made significant contributions to mathematics, medicine, and governance. It was a hub of trade, connecting Africa with Europe and Asia. To the south, the kingdom of Kush in present-day Sudan rivaled Egypt, even ruling it during certain periods. And Kush was renowned for its wealth, advanced ironworking, and massive temples. In North Africa, the Phoenician city-state of Carthage, located in modern Tunisia, became a dominant Mediterranean power. Carthage excelled in trade and naval warfare, famously challenging Rome in the Punic Wars. Meanwhile, in West Africa, the Mali Empire rose to prominence through its immense wealth, derived from controlling gold and salt. Under the leadership of Mansa Musa, considered one of the wealthiest individuals in history, the empire reached its peak, and cities like Timbuktu became global centers of learning and culture. After Mali's decline, the Songhai Empire emerged as a powerful successor, becoming one of the largest empires in African history and world history. Songhai was known for its effective governance, global African supremacy, flourishing trade, and advanced centers of Islamic scholarship. Further south, Great Zimbabwe stood as a symbol of southern Africa's prominence, with its impressive stone structures and vast trade networks that connected to the Indian Ocean. African civilizations shaped world history, influencing global trade, culture, and knowledge. However, the continent's dominance declined during the colonial era when European powers exploited its resources and people. Despite this, Africa's legacy as a cradle of civilization and a center of innovation remains undeniable. And the continent continues to reclaim its place as a significant force in the modern world. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Brother Vaughn, I see you there. WHGE 95.3, The Open Eye. All right. Imagine being bitten by a snake, and instead of focusing on healing from the poison, you chase the snake to understand why it bit you, and to prove that you didn't deserve it. Get that? You get that? We have been bitten by the snake of white supremacy. And many of us, instead of focusing on healing from the damage that white supremacy has done, we try our damnedest to interact with, to be accepted by white supremacy. And to prove to white supremacy that we have humanity. The hell with proving to them any goddamn thing. Anything at all. We don't need to. And I tell you why. It makes me think of what Malcolm said when we were looking for equality. Malcolm said, who are they to be equal to? These are not people that we need to be equal to. That's right. Not only we not no need to be equal to them, but morally, we are vastly superior. Just to give you an idea. Look. What's a scam that's so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore? Pay into it all the time. Everybody. What's a scam that's so normalized that we don't even realize it's insurance? That's right. Insurance. Now, of course, health insurance, we pay into that. Running around popping pills, me too. Running around popping pills, this, that, and the other. The pharmaceutical industry is a bunch of drug dealers. The Big Pharma made $1.27 trillion last year. And not a single cent was spent teaching you how to get healthier. Their priority isn't your health. It's their profits. Yeah. You know, there's things what's the guy? I just had his name on my mind. It's going Matthew Cooks. I'm pretty sure this is Matthew Cooks that asked, what's wrong with the Caucasian? The interesting thing is, if you understand history and you know anything about history, you know that most civilizations that thrive did so in concert with nature, except the European. Noam Chomsky asked, or stated, I don't know what word in the English language, I can't find one, applies to people who are willing to sacrifice the literal existence of organized human life so they can put a few more dollars in their highly stuffed pockets. The word evil doesn't even begin to approach it. That's what our problem is. Our resources are controlled by a bunch of evil psychopaths. That's a big part of our problem. You recognize that. WHGE 95.3 FM. Open Eye. You're gonna dig this one. Yeah. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Advocacy Education Station. Yeah, right here, Wilmington, Delaware, the only black-owned station in the state. You know, the story of Christianity in Africa began in earnest with the Portuguese exploration of the continent in the 15th century, as explorers sought new trade routes and wealth missionaries accompanied them, aiming to convert African societies to Christianity. This relationship between trade, colonization, and religious conversion became more pronounced with the arrival of other European powers such as the British, French, and Dutch. In subsequent centuries, for over 500 years, the mechanisms of imperialism and colonialism thrived on these religious foundations, keeping Africa in a state of subjugation. Excuse me. The Berlin Conference of 1884-1885, where European powers convened to partition Africa among themselves, epitomized the intersection of imperialism and religious mission. This conference, devoid of any African representation, laid the groundwork for colonial rule, disrupting traditional societies and entrenching European dominance. How well we know what a profitable superstition this fable of Christ has been for us and our predecessors. The drunken Pope made this statement at an Easter celebration as he and his comrades toasted chalices of wine. When you do your research, you will discover that there were 2 Italian cardinals that were present and wrote about this in their diaries, which was stumbled upon more than 100 years later. Never as a pope been so dedicated to expensive earthly pleasures than Pope Leo X. He was Pope from 1513 to 1521. He spent a huge fortune left by his predecessor in just 2 years. Leo had a fetish for bawdy jokes and obscene comedies, which were often performed in the Vatican with cardinals as actors. To maintain his lavish lifestyle, he sold indulgences. All right, indulgences, you could buy indulgences if you were wealthy enough from the Pope. And what these indulgences did was, it forgave you for your sins, for the dirt that you did. An indulgence was basically a pardon from hell for sins such as murder, polygamy, sacrilege, perjury, and witchcraft. So they actually thought that you could buy your way out of the dirt that you did. And I think they still believe that. That's why they want so much money. His nepotism was as corrupt as any pope, appointing his son the cardinal at the age of 14. Made his son a cardinal at 14. When his cardinals conspired to kill him, he had the flesh of their servants ripped off with red-hot pincers to extract information. This is the religious leader of Europe. The Pope who sits in, St. Peter's, on St. Peter's throne as the head of the Christian church. He had the flesh of people ripped off with red-hot pincers. And then turned around and sold indulgences to these leaders that committed murder, polygamy, sacrilege, perjury, rape, pedophilia. At a large banquet of dignitaries, Leo made the most infamous and damaging statement about Christianity in the history of the church. How well we know what a profitable superstition this fable of Christ has been for us and our predecessors. And you know what? You look around these mega churches and what have you, it's amazing. People still believe this. Because Christianity, Judaism, Islam, all male chauvinist murder cults, all founded in the so-called Middle East, Northeast, East Africa, by a bunch of tent-dwelling illiterates. And you run around, praise the Lord. What is most interesting is that the story of Jesus was added 300 years after the Bible was compiled in 325 AD. Let me run that by you again. The story of Jesus was added 300 years after the Bible was compiled in 325 AD. In addition to the story of Jesus, the Roman Catholic Church created heaven and hell that scare people into following their teachings of Christianity. There ain't nothing I'm scared to go to hell. Obviously by the dirt that they do. History proves that between 3000 BC and 500 BC, there were 19 stories in which the saviors were crucified. And all of these 19 came before that of Jesus Christ was written. And Christians have been waiting for Jesus for 2,000 years. Because Muslims have been waiting for a Messiah. Yeah, that's right, Sherry, the Council of Nicaea. Muslims have been waiting for a Messiah from the line of Muhammad for 1,300 years. Hindus have been waiting for Kali for 3,700 years. Buddhists been waiting for Matria for 2,600 years. And Jews been waiting for the Messiah for 2,500 years. And goes on and on and on. There's some 4,000 religions in the world. All of them waiting for somebody to come save them. Most religions adopt the idea of a savior and say the world will remain filled with evil until that savior comes and fills it with goodness and righteousness. Maybe the problem with believers on this planet is that they expect someone else to come and solve their problems instead of doing it the goddamn selves. And I put that in there just to mess with you. The Council of Nicaea, like Sister Sherry said. I got this from Sister Sherry. The Bible was written and then rewritten and then edited and then re-edited and then translated from their languages. And then retranslated and then re-edited and then re-edited and then retranslated, then given to kings for them to take their favorite parts out. And of course, most of these kings were illiterate. Somebody had to read it to them. Oh. It says I can't have a 14-year-old boy. Take that part out. Yeah. And it was retranslated, then re-edited, and then given to the Pope for him to approve. And then it was retranslated, and then rewritten, then rewritten, then re-edited, then retranslated, rewritten again, all based on stories that were told orally 30 to 90 years after they happened to people who didn't know how to write. So I guess what I'm saying is the Bible is literally the world's oldest game of telephone. And of course, the go-to version is the King James Version. Yeah, because, it's in that Old English, and, it makes people feel like these thous, those thous, and thous, and what have you. Actually sounds spiritual. It's your damn mind. The King James Version of the New Testament was completed in 1611 by 8 members of the Church of England. There were, and still are, no original text to translate. The oldest manuscripts we have were written down hundreds of years after the last apostle supposedly died. There are over 8,000 of these old manuscripts, and no 2 of them are alike. The King James translators use none of these anyway. Sub Jafar. Instead, they edited previous translations to create a version their king and parliament would approve. So 21st century Christians read the Word of God as a book edited in the 17th century from 16th century translations of 8,000 contradictory copies of 4th century scrolls that claim to be copies of lost letters supposedly written in the 1st century. Lord have mercy. That's not faith. That's insanity. Yeah. You keep looking over in Europe, in the Middle East, for your God. In order to find the God that made men, we have to stop following the God that man made. Amen. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. This is the Open Eye, your third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs. You know, the tangerine terrorist, I think he on drugs myself. Yeah, he was sentenced for the 34 felony convictions he earned. The sentence was nothing. It basically just was a formality. There was no punishment, no house arrest. He could have went to jail up to 4 years. The judges blew it all off. Now he run around talking about invading Canada and taking the Greenland by force and naming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Just get up and say any damn thing. Of course, him and his racist-ass cronies are actually blaming black people and DEI for the fires in California. Meanwhile, the governor of California is standing out there talking about we ain't got no water to fight to contain these fires, which at this time are 0% contained. Standing next to the whole goddamn Pacific Ocean and you only got no water, huh? Gee, Natty. Yeah, I got this from, I forget the historian's name, historian from TikTok. I want to give her credit. Here are the top 7 dystopian facts about the wildfires in California right now that have burned over 26,000 acres, affected more than 30,000 people, and killed at least 10 people so far. Before I go into that, something I saw Brother Vaughn mention. And that's what's on job applications. Right? I better not see another job application that asks if you was a felon. And like Sister Sherry said, Canada and Greenland. The orange disaster doesn't really care about the country itself. He wants the country's natural resources. Real talk. And like I told you, insurance is a scam. Right? Back to the 7 most dystopian facts about the wildfires in California. Number 1. Oh, these some slimy ass people. Number 1. Insurance companies cancel fire coverage for thousands of residents ahead of these fires. So now people who have lost literally everything will get no compensation. Yeah, I tell you, I feel bad for anybody that loses their home, no matter what their station is in life. But I keep seeing these posts about the Palisades. I don't know if you've seen videos of the Palisades, which is a very wealthy community. It looks like it was a war zone. And just, again, I don't know a lot of these modern actresses and what have you, but this one actress lost her $5 million home and everything in it, and I'm sure that hurts. But when you see the imbalance in the wealth disparity, it's hard to feel sorry for somebody that lost a $5 million home that the insurance companies are not going to pay or anything for it. And I said, it's hard to feel sorry for that. Number 2, a huge portion of the first responders are actually prison inmates who will earn $5.80 to $10.24 a day. They risk their lives performing literal slave labor. Number 3, Despite wildfires being common in California and worsening in recent years due to climate change, the fire response was still grossly unprepared. Yeah, when you got an idiot standing right next to the goddamn Pacific Ocean talking about we ain't got no water. And don't tell me about, oh, well, this water has to be filtered and this, that, and the other, and it has to be, in the containers. No. Unprepared. Grossly unprepared. Why? Because the mayor of Los Angeles recently cut the fire department funding by $17.5 million. And they know what to expect these wildfires. This crap comes every year. Number 5. The fire department is incredibly understaffed, despite having a wait list of people waiting to sign up because of the budget cuts. That's right, Jafar. This is just a bunch of lies. Number 6, the fires are currently 0% contained. They report that every morning, 0 since the fire's been going on. Number 7, a block away from where people are desperately fleeing and watching their lives burnt to ash. It's business as usual. This is how psychopathic these people are. American people. Business as usual. You can have a barrister make you a fresh coffee while you watch the smoke and flames of irreparable damage. Imagine what the watching world believes. And you see things sitting there burning around you. Imagine working there. And your boss is telling you, yeah, I know, everything's burning. Keep working. A couple of customers there want some coffee. It's like it's entertainment. Jeez Louise. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Yeah, I know damn well you don't want to talk about your nasty ass history. Because Europeans came to this continent, ethnically cleansed the indigenous population out of existence. Killed them on a scale that has hardly been equaled by the millions. And then referred to them as savages. And got people to believe that. Got people to believe that. That's an achievement. Who's the savage? Okay? If you go to like a little town in Massachusetts called Deerfield or Old Deerfield, it's a reconstruction of what that little town looked like in colonial America. And the houses are redone. And the houses are redone to look like they did back then. A very nice job. It's a tourist attraction. And you go there and you look at that. And in front of each house is a plaque that explains something about the house. It was inhabited by the Gypsy Doodle family. From another historian. Whatever it was. And then the description on the 18th of October, 1702, the savages attacked. I remember the first time I saw this. The savages, you come in here and destroy everything these people had, and they're the savages. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to talk about their history. Now, I tell you, some of the greatest propagandists in the world, that they were able to convince people that the people they invaded and murdered, committed genocide on, were the actual savages. I think it was from a Black Crow chief, where he said, excuse me, the old ways of his people, they will never be understood by these people. He said they saw whites that had everything. Millions. Millions. Okay? Surrounded by whites that had nothing. And most of the times, those that had this wealth did not come by it honestly. They're gangsters, murderers. Okay? Genocidal maniacs. As I said, the resources are controlled by a bunch of psychopaths. And you know, I will tell you, especially for black women, especially after you see what's going on. What is it? I think it's the 18th or the 19th that they're going to have a parade, white women. They're going to have a protest parade in D.C. against the election of the tangerine terrorists. Yeah, right? And many of them are upset because black women said, nah, we ain't with it. We ain't with it. It's always falling on black women to come to the forefront and fight the oppression and misogyny that women are suffering. Okay? Yeah. And you know, the biggest danger to black women from the time of slavery, not just women, but children, or white women. Give you a little background, a little history on this. And the damage that is done. During enslavement, black women of childbearing age were extremely valuable. Of course, they could help increase the population of enslaved people. But enslavers and their families had another ideal. Shortly after giving birth, enslaved mothers would frequently be forced to breastfeed white women's babies instead of their own. Enslaved mothers could sometimes only see their own babies every few weeks. It's had horrible consequences. Black children died at an astoundingly high rate. Of course, white women didn't care. They went the extra mile to ensure that they had black women's breast milk. And for some reason, they considered breastfeeding dirty or undignified. And what they did was nothing short of evil. Of course, white people love to spread lies. They painted black women as bad mothers who abandoned their own children to happily nurse white children, when the truth is they were milking black women like calves. Black women still carry this trauma Today, our women have a much lower rates of breastfeeding. We almost know the horrific history of black women in breastfeeding to understand our cultural attitude towards the practice, and hopefully to finally free ourselves of the shackles of that anti-black legacy and make our own choices about how to take care of our families. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. All right. I'm looking here. All right. Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist, keeping it moving. Hey, brother Alan Lawrence. Alan Lawrence is the host of the Weekend Review right here on WHGE 95.3 FM. It will be on this afternoon at 4. Tune in. Hope I got that right, brother. All right. You want to catch that if you can. The reason why white people, especially white men, feel oppressed today is because accountability feels like oppression to abusers. Presidents held slaves, had sex with their slaves, had children by his female slaves, and then had sex with his own children. Slave owners would find the biggest Mandingo slave and sodomize him in the courtyard in front of all the other slaves. They would go to slave quarters and make the male slave stand outside while he raped his woman. And then they would tar and feather black people. And you had lynching, Jim Crow, the reinvention of slavery, which is mass incarceration. Black men and women are picking cotton down south right now. Today. Right now. And like I said, the biggest enemy to black women and black children are white women. This is so in school. And this is especially so in the healthcare industry. Case in point. Police in suburban Richmond arrested a 26-year-old registered nurse for allegedly abusing at least 7 infants that were being treated in the neonatal intensive care unit, NICU, as it's called. Yeah. Erin Elizabeth Ann Strothman, 26, was arrested and charged with felony abuse of a baby in the neonatal intensive care unit in Richmond, Virginia. After a family member reported it to social services, it took nearly a year for police, social services, and hospital authorities in Henrico County to pinpoint how clustered babies ended up with unexplained fractures. Took them a year. And that's some crap. Because what happened in 2023 was this same nurse, this Erin Elizabeth Ann Strothman, was put on unpaid administrative leave for a year after some fractures were discovered. See what they were doing? They were trying to fix it up to let her get away with this. So it didn't happen while she was gone and nobody reported anything, nobody said anything. So after about a year, they brought her back and put her back to work. And she did the same goddamn thing. She would break the infants' legs and their limbs, break their bones, fracture them. And they come up with this, it took a year. So finally, they couldn't hide it no more because what happened was the case was reopened in 2024. However, when the County Child Protective Services Department gave gut-wrenching news to one of the victims' parents and possibly 6 other newborns that they have been abused. And during the probe identified Stratman as a suspect. She was arrested in December. One of those children had 12 fractures. It's an infant. A premature. Last week, the hospital issued a statement saying authorities there are both shocked and saddened by Stratman's arrest and are focused on continuing the care for our patients, providing support to our colleagues who have been deeply and personally impacted by this investigation. Okay? A year. They were going to let her get off with it. That was really the plan. I have no doubt. That's why I always say that the healthcare industry is to black women, and I'm going to add children, what the police are to black men. This abuse of children is not new in their society. It's not something new to us. That they are a danger to our women and children, white women. It goes back to 1669. What? Yes. Have you ever heard of the Casual Killing Act? All right. In 1669, Virginia introduced the Casual Killing Act. What was the Casual Killing Act? Okay? Let me tell you something. There was no consensual relationship between enslaved people and their masters. No matter if you claim the people involved were in love, BS. The power imbalance was too significant. There's no way to tell if the relationship contained love or submission. One person owned the other as property and asset that they could do with as they wished. And this is the reason the Casual Killing Act was enacted. In 1669, it was written to protect rich white women from legal punishment. Because these white women were killing the defenseless mixed-race children of their husbands and enslaved women. The women in Virginia were killing the mixed children in horrific ways. They were angry that their spouses were having plenty of children outside their marriage. And their response was to murder these children. That's why you had the Casual Killing Act. And damn, if it ain't the same thing going on. Don't have the Casual Killing Act anymore. But if they can help them get away with it, damn if they won't. Yeah. And these same people, same people and jump up and, well, I don't see race. I don't see color. Boy, is that a crock you full of it. You drive. You stop at the red light. You go on the green light. Not only do you see color, you understand the definition and what that color defines. When you say you don't see color, What you're saying is, I'm going to use my place of privilege to refute and deny the sufferings of those who do not have white privilege, while at the same time erasing their personal and cultural history. Go to hell. Yeah. You don't see color, I'll be damned. Not only do you see it, but you see our color and you think that you're better than. You're running around talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. When I apply DEI to you, it didn't earn it. And I see this white dude on TikTok, and he said he has a question. He has a question for these race and IQ people beyond how any of the research that they try to cite is full of lies and methodological flaws. When exactly do white people become genetically superior? Because the humans have been around for about 300,000 years, and actually more than that, but we'll go with that. And been doing the civilization thing for at least 10,000 years, probably more. And you see the vast majority of those 10,000 years, Europe, especially Western and Northern Europe, has been a war-torn, culturally backward, religiously oppressive, disease-ridden, technologically, medically underdeveloped, backward hellhole. But if white people are genetically superior, then why is it that their civilization hasn't been more advanced for the entirety of human civilization? And basically, all of those 10,000 years, you have wanted to live in the Middle East. You would have wanted to live in the Middle East, Egypt, China, the Mesopotamian Valley, Mesoamerica, the Andes, or Rome. And even Rome, which was arguably the most multicultural, multi-ethnic society that existed at that time. Considering that white skin is actually a relatively recent phenomenon in humanity, when do white people's genetics change? Well, listen. This is all a bunch of rational arguments, but ultimately white supremacists cling to the racism because they desperately want to feel that they're special. And there's nothing about them individually that actually makes them special. So they have to go with something they were born with. Their white skin. That's pathetic. But Nivon said, not sure what year, but when they started classifying people. And basically, it was after Bacon's Rebellion in the 1600s. How many of y'all Superman fans? Because Superman, power comes from the sun. You have to wonder how the hell that happens with a white dude. Because he ain't got no melanin. Melanin is the fundamental unit of the universe and exists in 4 forms: cosmic, planetary, plant kingdom, chlorophyll, and animal kingdom, melanin. Melanin is black because its chemical structure allows no energy to escape, making black melanin the super absorber of energy and light. These kryptonites didn't have no melanin. Black people, African people, this is the thing they don't want us to know. Because if we knew this, there's no country on the planet that could come and rape Africa of its resources. Not one. Because we're the greatest fighting machine in the face of the earth. And if we ever discovered this, people are going to start running. Under proper leadership, proper inspiration, properly equipped, the black man is the greatest human fighting machine God ever created. lost track of your heritage. You lose track of your unlimited ability in this world. From Dr. Clark. We are the strongest. We are truly powered by the sun. We're not from Krypton. And we don't feel the need to even say these things, but the fact remains. All we ever wanted to do was just exist. That's it. Is that too much to ask? Wouldn't leave us alone. Still won't leave us alone. Okay? As long as there are people who only know death and destruction and domination, the Congo, Sudan, South Sudan, every country in Africa has the power to expel each and every invader. Be careful of the day that we realize this. Why us? Because of all the Africans throughout the world, the African in America is the most dangerous. And I don't say that to say if we're any superior, it's because we were trained by the oppressor and his war tactics. And if we ever marry that to Africa, the world would be a much different place. Wake up. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. All right. Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist, closing out the show here. Yes, D, gave you a full hour, got in a little late, had to clean the snow off my car. All right. Thank you all for joining us. And as I always say, I hope you learned something, because I learned something before I got here. All right. And I want to thank those that have posted information that helped me along, that helped me learn something. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. I'm Patrice Gibbs. This has been The Open Eye. All right. As I always tell you, global African supremacy, because the world was a much better place when the African ruled. Balance. Thanks for joining us.